Hello friends, it's Kirby time. I'm going to be talking about the new Kirby game. This is pretty out of nowhere to me. I just kind of thought, like, you know what, I should make a video about it, because I just beat it. And, yeah, we're going to talk about it. Like always, thoughts on video. So, I really like Kirby, a little bit of a Kirby history. I've played, like, every Kirby game. They're fun. I like them a lot. I think my favorites are probably like the GBA era ones, like the ones made by Dimps or whatever. The Amazing Mirror I love to death. I know some people are weird about that game, but I love Amazing Mirror. I think that game's so fun. And Squeak Squad I love too. And I know some people are also weird about that one, but I think that one's really fun. And recently Kirby's been pretty good. I apologize if you hear any creaking. My neighbors are stomping around right now. The new ones are pretty good. I didn't really play much of Star Allies. It seemed pretty, like, I'm kind of desensitized almost to Kirby at this point. It felt very Kirby. And the one before that, Planet Robobot, I was not as crazy about as a lot of people were. I thought it was pretty good, but, like, it just really didn't push the Kirby series anywhere. The new gimmicks just felt so blech, and, like, I don't know. I just wasn't that crazy about it. Triple Deluxe I really did like, though, which is the one that came before that. That one I thought was really good, and it felt like a pretty good evolution of Kirby games before it. But Robobot just kind of felt like Triple Deluxe, like, turned up a tiny, tiny bit. Which I guess makes it better than Triple Deluxe. But I was kind of just like, like, it didn't really do much for me. So this new Kirby game, obviously 3D, I was pretty excited about because all I wanted was a mix-up of the Kirby formula. I thought Kirby was getting a little stale. Like I was saying, people were kind of getting desensitized to it a little bit. The hype was kind of going down on Kirby. But this new Kirby definitely felt like it was going to be like the Kirby of all Kirbys. I was actually really thinking it was going to serve kind of the same thing that like Odyssey did for the Mario series and Zelda, or Breath of the Wild did for the Zelda series. But I beat it, and I guess TDL or TDLR, I didn't. It's not, and I'm a little disappointed. But I think my expectations were a little too high. And I'll talk about it. That's why I want to talk about it. It's kind of an interesting topic. So the game is, I'm just gonna kind of not gonna do any kind of like dumb little preliminary like, oh, the game is a Kirby game, but it really is just very much a Kirby game. I think when I was going into it, I was thinking, oh, they're gonna totally mix up everything. It's gonna be more open. It's gonna have this hub world, yada yada. It really, really isn't. It's Kirby level formulas almost to a T, with like more hidden stuff and like a little bit more to do, but it's compromised in other ways, in kind of annoying ways that I really wasn't a fan of. But yeah, it's very much Kirby. It is level to level, world to world, boss, same mechanics in a lot of ways. It's just in 3D this time, which does add a lot. I mean, that's not discounting that at all. I don't think it's just Kirby in 3D. I think the developers did a really good job, like, implementing all these ideas that Kirby has in 3D, and, like, a lot of them might not work, a lot of them do work, so they were able to kind of retool stuff and, like, make pretty clever ideas with the 3D space. A lot of, like, really interesting stuff with the environment, a lot of cool stuff. I probably found, like, 60% of the secrets in my playthrough. Unfortunately, I don't really feel inclined to do more, like, get 100%. I guess that might have something to say about the game, but, like, I just was like, I just really don't feel like going back in and basically going through each level. But yeah, whatever. But yeah, Kirby, very, very specific, normal Kirby formula. Some little like, it's interesting the little changes you see because it's in 3D now, where I just kicked my cat. Oops, sorry. Where it's like, you don't press down to inhale anymore. You just inhale the powers. You can't inhale enemies. You can't just swallow enemies. You have to spit them out. So it's just like a mechanic that kind of is now lost. But it's not that big a deal. It's like, what did you get from inhaling, like, you know, swallowing like a random enemy like Waddle Dee? You didn't really get anything from it. But yeah, now it's like if you eat a thing that would give you a power, you just immediately get it. You can't just like spit it back out, which is interesting because back in the day, spitting back out powers at bosses and enemies did more damage. So it was like you compromised keeping your power to do more damage to the boss. There were plenty of times I did that, especially if I got hit right before a boss was dead. I would just spit it back out at the boss, and it would usually kill it, which was pretty fun. Yeah, but now that's gone. So, and because of that, I won't lie, this is just a little thing I noticed too. I was using power-ups way more often than I usually do in Kirby games. It's not that I choose not to, but there are definitely bosses that always felt a little bit more interesting if you didn't have a power-up. This game I could see you probably can do it, but it really does want you to have the power-up. For one, I don't even think the power-up despawns after you, like, if you get hit and it bounces away. I don't think it despawns. I think it just stays there. There's been instances where I'm, like, dodging around a boss and, like, the power just is sticking there for like a solid like minute or two, and I'm like, is this gonna disappear? Like, I thought it was gonna be disappear. Maybe I'm wrong, maybe it does eventually, but it seemed like it stood there for a while. So they really want you to use the weapons, and there's almost always instances where you have one. Nothing really, even the mouthful power-ups, which I'll get to in a minute, you keep your power-up after you've used it. So and they're good in this game. The power-ups are extremely powerful, and I will also get to that. But let's go on to let's actually get to the mouthful thing, because that's an interesting mechanic. Not really, kind of. So there's a mouthful, which is like there are environment things in the world that you can interact with, and Kirby puts his mouth over it and does something cute and funny, like the car. Everyone's seen the car. So with like water, where you fill up with water. I thought this was going to be close to Mario Odyssey, where like you do a bunch of stuff. Like it's just like every every level has some kind of unique little thing, like little gimmick or something. It's not at all. Not at all. There's like 5. Like you've probably seen most of them, There's like literally, I think maybe 5, 6, or 7 in the entire game. And I don't hate them, but they just kind of feel like temporary power-ups. Like, they feel very close to the Robobot thing, and I did not like the Robobot thing. I thought the Robobot thing was pretty lame at the end of the day. I really don't love that mechanic because it was so segmented. It was like, when you see a robot, like in Mega Man X, when you'd see a mech to get into, you could choose to get into it, and it changed the level. In Kirby, you had to get into it. It was the level gimmick. And most of the time, it was not that interesting. It just sort of changed how you played it, but it was all pretty simple. And this game's the same way. If you see a mouthful thing, you need to use it. There's no like, I mean, I guess you probably don't need to all the time, but it is the solution to literally every puzzle preceding that power up. It's like there isn't like a mix up, there isn't like a choice. And I know it's hard. Like, how are you gonna give a player a choice to become like a car? But that's what I was thinking was going to be open about it. Was like, if it was a more open level structure, having the car could lead to some secrets. Not having the car could lead to some other secrets. Maybe if you drag the car all the way over here, it leads to this, stuff like that. But nah, not really. There were so many instances where you'd like, if you were riding the car, you'd hit like a ladder, and you can't go up ladders, so you have to spit it out. And it was like, that is their way of segmenting the level into being like, this is the car section. You have to go to the car here. I don't like that because it doesn't feel seamless to me. And I didn't like that in Robobot either, because it feels so like video gamey kind of, and like kind of like a annoying way where it's like, I can clearly see they don't want you to have the car over here, so they're making me get off the car because of the ladder. It doesn't, something about it just feels weird. But anyway, they're cool sometimes. I remember liking them when I was using them, but overall, I could give or take, it's like, it's whatever. I think it could have been more interesting if it was like a little bit more like Mario Odyssey, I think, where it was like, interacting with the world, not a choice, but like kind of like a secret almost. But whatever, it's fine. And then not as good as some other gimmicks. And then the new power-ups. There's a few new abilities. There's drill, which is pretty cool. You drill underground. If you make circles around enemies, you do a ridiculous amount of damage. It's actually kind of busted. I think some bosses, you can't use it on the final boss, which I think is funny. But most bosses, like, you can just destroy with that ability. It's pretty broken. And then what else did they add? Is that it? No, they added more. I'm trying to think. There's some more they added. I'm totally blanking, but the best thing they added to the abilities, the most interesting thing they added to the abilities is the fact that you can upgrade them now. So every ability has like 3 tiers, 2 after the actual one. So there's normal, and then there's like a super one, and there's basically like an ultra one. And they're cool, but that's it. They're cool, but they serve literally no purpose besides being more powerful versions of the things. I kept thinking, because in the trailer, I remember they mentioned it, and it sounded like you had like a choice. Like it was like, yeah, choose which one you want. And I was like, oh, that's really clever. There'll be like these instances where it's like, if you didn't choose the right one, or if you don't have the right one equipped or something, it's like almost like a whole new power if it changes up everything. No, not really. They serve mostly the same purpose. I cannot think of an instance where you should be using one over the other. They all kind of do the same thing, and the Ultra variant is almost always, I literally can't think of a situation, but almost always better in every way. Usually makes pretty quick work of anything once you get them. And there are little challenge stages that require you to use the other ones, and they're pretty fun most of the time. Those challenge stages might be actually one of my favorite part about the game. There's challenge stages littered through each world, and they're sort of like those Mario Odyssey minigame things. They usually use the powers in clever ways that I didn't think the powers could even be used, which is pretty cool. I like those stages. But overall, I'm very disappointed with the abilities in this game. I'm not going to lie. It's one of my biggest gripes with this game. First of all, besides Sleep and Crash, which, Crash is the one that you do the giant screen wipe. There's some interesting stuff with it, so they can kind of count. And Sleep, I didn't upgrade Sleep, but normal Sleep is Sleep Kirby, whatever. Besides those two, there are 10 abilities in the game. There are 10. I don't know. I feel like that's kind of a tiny amount, right? Like, I'm not crazy. I was counting Squeak Squad. Squeak Squad has close to like 30 or something. I don't know. Something about the compromise of the abilities for those upgrades, and they were like, well, no, we have the upgrades, we won't make as many abilities. Feels Also, I like the fact that the game's new in 3D. Like, stuff like the sword power and like drill and cutter, or not drill, cutter and like other ones that are returning, like fire. It's cool to see them in a new way. Like, you actually interact with the environment slightly differently because you're in 3D. And I remember saying before the game came out, I was really excited because I was like, dude, I get to see what Sword Kirby is like in 3D. That's really cool. I've been excited to see what a power-up in a Kirby game is going to be like in forever. It's cool, but you don't get a lot of the same moves that you did in the other Kirby games. There's some cool, like, dodge mechanic things, or if you, like, dodge and then attack, you do something like a follow-up. But besides that, you have a jump attack and a normal attack and maybe a charge attack. A lot of, like, Squeak Squad, again, just saying, Squeak Squad, you had, like, 6 pages of moves, and there was some really, like, interesting stuff going on with it. They have another button that doesn't really basically has used for nothing in the game. They could have gave you, like, a heavy and light attack. I think that would have added a lot to, like, the mechanics, but, again, whatever. But, yeah, the abilities are pretty basic, and I guess the compromise was the new versions, but the new versions just don't add much. They're not like a new ability. And oh yeah, I totally got sidetracked. I was really excited to see stuff like Sword come back, but like, I don't know, some of like my favorites that I was dead set were gonna be coming back. Beam isn't in the game, and Parasol aren't in the game. Like, Beam and Parasol are in like every Kirby game, and I was really interested in seeing what Beam would have been like, especially upgraded. That would have been crazy if you did like a giant laser and shit. Or Parasol. I love Parasol Kirby. It's probably my favorite power-ups in all of the games. I don't know why, I just really like that power-up. There's no Fighter Kirby. I loved Fighter Kirby. It's pretty lame in that way, where I'm just kind of like, I get what they were going for. They obviously didn't want to like messy the formula too much. They were like, well, we don't need too many power-ups. But I don't know. I think the more power-ups is always a good idea in that kind of game, because it kind of, the point of Kirby is sort of experimentation with, how can I take out these enemies? Which power-up do you like? You favor a certain power or whatever. Could have been interesting to see that, but whatever. They obviously had a vision that they were going for with this, and it didn't have abilities really in mind. But a little lame. On top of the mouthfold things being not that interesting, mechanically, this Kirby game is not that interesting. It's like not the step up I was hoping it would be, The world design is cool, and I think, by the way, I know I'm ranting a lot, but the best thing about this game, without a doubt, is the world design is awesome, is extremely, extremely enticing, is so cool. You get like so many good set pieces. The level design is very good too. The level design is not bad. It's very satisfying. There's a lot of moments that you're like, oh shit, that's awesome. The boss fights are really fun. The story is, I mean, it's whatever. It's Kirby. And like, but it's cool. It's like got some interesting mix-ups to the Kirby story formula. And there's a decent amount of collectibles. The secrets are pretty fun. I like how the secrets aren't just collectibles. They are like actual secrets in the level. So it'll be like you hit a flower and it's like a little notification that comes up that says like hit 4 flowers to get like the, you know, the bonus Waddle Dee. And it's like, oh shit, okay, I have to find flowers. And it makes it a little bit more interesting when you're traversing the levels to keep that stuff in mind. Like I said, the level design in the Mario Odyssey little mini game kind of stages are really good too. I love those. I haven't tried like the mini games and all the extra modes really too much, but they seem pretty cool as well. And the game looks really nice, obviously. Kirby, it sounds really nice. The music is incredible in this game. I gotta listen to some after the fact, because man, whew, some of those songs are really, really good. I mean, they always have such a good composer for Kirby games. It's insane. But yeah, those aspects are great, and it really does elevate it above a lot of other Kirby games, but it just doesn't do enough. I don't think it warrants the review scores it was getting. It's getting really good reviews, and I think it's good. I just don't think it's like blowing me away good, you know, like a good where I'm like, holy moly, like this changes everything. It's like, yep, this is pretty much what I expected. Like, I guess in some ways, like this is Kirby in 3D, which again isn't really a detriment or like a disservice to, like, you know, the quality of the game. It is cool, but I just don't think it's on that same tier as like Mario Odyssey was for the Mario series, of Zelda, like Breath of the Wild was for the Zelda series. And I know people are going to be like, well, it's stupid to compare, yada yada. But I mean, it's a new Kirby game, a completely new idea for a Kirby game in a lot of ways. So I was hoping for something to really change how I thought about it. Mario Odyssey was insane. Like literally, as I was like so blown away by the creativity, the new ideas, how well everything worked together. And a lot of people are saying like, this feels so seamless. Like this just feels like Kirby's been like this forever. It's because he kind of has been like this forever. It's not that different. It's really like Kirby again. But yeah, it's like I said, it's not bad. I do really like it. I'd like give it like a 7.5 out of 10, maybe an 8. It's good. I really do like it. I was a little disappointed in some aspects that I think some people are brushing off. Maybe every game has been like kind of tainted a little bit because I just beat Elden Ring and it was like the best thing I've ever played in my life. I was gonna make a video about that, but I could not figure out how to talk about it. Maybe I'll do one after this. But anyway, if you plan on playing it, I recommend it. I actually played this. I'm gonna say this now because I remember saying in the last video, and I don't want to, you know, taint my opinion of the game because of this. I played this on an emulator. And at this point, I'm not going to lie, I'm kind of like not ashamed of it anymore. Like I played this game with a 60 FPS mod immediately. They came out like frame 1. There was a 60 FPS mod. It looks gorgeous. The game runs at 30 FPS usually. At this point, Nintendo's shooting themselves in the foot. Like they're not giving me I can get a way better experience on my PC. I'm just gonna play it on my PC. Like, I'm sorry. Like, if I really want a game portably, I'll get it on the Switch or whatever. But a lot of these games, I just go with Ryujinx or Yuzu. Really good, by the way. Switch emulation is nearly perfect at this point, and it's like, how are they doing that? Like, they're gonna basically put Nintendo out of business at this point. I recommend playing the game however you can. Give an opinion for yourself. It's pretty good. But anyway, let me know what you think of it, actually, because I'm sure a lot of people are playing it. I'm curious because I'm genuinely curious about, like, honeymoon phase over, Kirby, you know, Kirby crazy hype over. How do people think about the game? Because I think there's a lot to say about it in a lot of ways. It's definitely different, but similar at the same time. So let me know. But anyway, until next time, see you, friends.